The Astros bullpen bullies are back. Bryan Abreu is overpowering hitters. Josh Hader is slamming the door. And Houston just found the late inning formula that could carry them straight into October.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Heisman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros. I'm Eric Heisman. This is Brett Chansey. With over 6 seasons together, 2 decades on the mic, we bring you fans' perspective with local expert analysis. This is the Locked On Astros podcast, the #1 Astros podcast, brought to you by Locked On, the #1 sports podcast network out there. And I know that we're doing this episode before tonight's game, so we're not going to be able to talk a lot about what's going on. Hopefully, the Astros have a victory, but you can always have a victory with FanDuel. Just today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free picks on who you think is hitting a homer this MLB season. So, Brett, I know that yesterday's game, we had something that you and I have been talking about a lot on the podcast, and that's whether Josh Hader will be going multiple innings. And I know a lot of people are saying, hey, if he's your closer, why aren't you having him in the closing situations in the 10th inning? And the key part was he wasn't going to be a multi-inning reliever right now. But I think what the Astros are doing is they're trying to get him ready for a potential postseason if the Astros get there, where he might have to pitch multiple innings.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I want to hit on Bryan Abreu. We'll talk about Josh Hader. Okay. I think it's important just because Josh Hader going that 2 innings, you know, he only threw 10 pitches in the 9th. He went in the 10th. The Astros won. But Eric, if you go back to April, you remember all the talk about Bryan Abreu. You even mentioned to me that you went to an Astros game and you thought Bryan Abreu might maybe looked your way a little bit. And we had asked, ooh, I wonder if he heard what we said about him on the podcast, because, you know, he went from like a 12.54 ERA essentially to, you know, a bullpen role to where he wasn't really the setup man. But since May 3rd, a 1.93 ERA over his last 34 appearances. Eric, this is the kind of dominance that Bryan Abreu was accustomed to. This is the kind of dominance that you and I and every Astros fan on the planet has seen him just get things done. You know, he allowed 13 runs in his first 11 appearances. Eric, I would say Bryan Abreu has done a complete 180.
And I know early in career, we talked about this. He struggled. The Astros sent him down. And then he kind of rediscovered his form, became a different Bryan Abreu, the guy that was the dominant reliever for many years, and they joined the 500 strikeout club with the Houston Astros. But this was a guy that looked totally lost in April, and we knew that he would likely figure it out, but he just looked lost. Whether it's I know that there's a note in here that he changed his grip on his slider without telling the Astros. He was just trying to find something that would work to help turn around his season. But basically, the Astros caught what he was trying to do, and they figured things out. And just they said, hey, stop doing this. Let's work on this. And they said, hey, we know what's going on. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. You are a great pitcher. Just keep on doing what you've been doing. Don't change things up. Just stay true to what makes Bryan Abreu the success story he's been.
Yeah, you know, and another aspect of this, you know, baseball players are creatures of habit. We've seen Christian Walker change his facial hair. We've seen, you know, different guys say that, you know, certain uniforms, you know, help them out or borrowing a player's bat. But apparently it was Bryan Abreu's socks. And it was the high socks. See, he had worn them earlier in his Astro career, and he brought them back. He viewed it as a way to mentally reset. And that goes along with what you're talking about, how the Astros have been saying, like, just be you. And while it may really sound ridiculous or crazy on the surface, as a baseball fan, most of our listeners have been watching baseball their whole life. Some of them watching baseball longer than you and I have been alive. That is what you need, is that mental reset. We can't fix the past, but we can change the future. I remember years ago, I guess 2 or 3 years ago now, we had Jonathan Sprinkle on, I believe it was, and he talked about how he gave up like 4 runs in a first inning. Pitching coach came out and talked to him. Then he went on the next 6 innings. He threw a no-hitter. The coach basically said, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And so for Bryan Abreu, it's about forgetting the past and forging ahead. It's about realizing that, you know what, despite your screw-ups in April, despite how bad you were, you're still the guy that they're going with in front of the most dominant closer right now in baseball.
So what the Astros are doing is they're looking at his delivery. They're looking at, kind of like I talked about with Cam Smith, they kind of sat him down and kind of said, hey, this is what you're doing. You need to work on this to try to work on things. And they determined that he was flying open, causing his fastball command to disappear on his arm side. For right-hand hitters, that meant it was going up and in. Against lefties, he was missing away. And the Astros also changed how he prepared. Of course, he loves throwing off flat ground. Is something that goes back to early in his career. But the coaches wanted him to do more of his pregame work off the bullpen mound. This way he can actually duplicate his actual delivery. And they also put dummy hitters in the left-handed hitter's box. So Abreu can work those sequences, the sequencing, the command, and something closer to a game environment. And I think that's, as somebody that used to coach T-ball a long time ago, it's good to put them in these situations that they're going to be in, because if you all of a sudden throw a bunch of 5-6-year-olds in a game situation, if they've never been in that situation, it's going to be total chaos. And I know Bryan Abreu is a major league player and it's not the same situation, but it's good to get that mental feel. Hey, this is a situation, maybe even give them some situations. Hey, you've got bases loaded. It's a 3-2 count. What would you do in this situation? Just kind of go back old school like you would do in high school.
Well, and nothing says a fundamentally sound player like whether you're an infielder working on ground balls, whether you're an outfielder just taking fly balls, whether you're a pitcher, going back to the basics. And this is one of the things that amazed me when Justin Verlander was here, when he would be out on the field in between starts and he would do different workouts, and he would put a beach ball or something under his arm, and when he would throw, and he had different routines. The second thing they worked on was his cutter, and the ABS challenge system has really changed the environment for the pitcher, because hitters aren't chasing the stuff away like they used to. Get this, his career chase rate is 27.8%. In April, it was 20.4%. That's almost 10% difference. And only 51% of his pitches were strikes. And so this was a rough combination, because when you're not throwing a ton of strikes and then people are not chasing your stuff, that means you're not fooling the hitter. And like you had talked about, he tried to do too much. He tried to overthink it. Bryan Abreu, to me, has always come across as a cerebral pitcher. Like some guys, they're throwers. I think Bryan Abreu is a pitcher. I think early on he was a thrower. I think now he's a pitcher. That's what makes guys like Jacob Misiorowski so amazing, is he throws like a thrower, but he's a pitcher. He's a smart, cerebral pitcher. And they need this guy. They need Bryan Abreu. If they're going to make noise in the playoffs, Abreu has got to be dependable.
And to kind of go off of that, we know that he's known for his velocity. Last year, he was throwing 97.3 miles per hour. But in April, he was throwing about 95.1 miles per hour. And then he dipped to 94.1. I remember Chandler Rome saying, oh, no, the velocity is dipping for Abreu. What's going on with him? But it wasn't just command. The overpowering stuff wasn't there either. But in July and August, he's averaged 96.1 miles per hour. And also against San Diego, he hit 99.1 miles per hour. Yeah. So he has an uptick in velocity. The command is getting a little bit better. So he's working on that cutter. So if you're improving all aspects of what you're doing, yes, you're going to see better results on the mound. And that's what we're seeing from Bryan Abreu.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the reasons why this is huge is because Josh Hader's back. Boston is the only team that has a lower ERA in their bullpen than Houston. And, that is what's going to keep these teams off the board. You go into a stretch where you're trying to keep pace against the Rangers, because I think they're the only real threat to the Astros. Unless Seattle randomly comes in with a 6 or 7 game win streak, I just think the Houston Astros have got a lot here in Bryan Abreu. But next we're gonna hit on Josh Hader, who I think right now is the best closer in baseball.
And we do have to touch on is Bryan Abreu, somebody that the Astros need to look at bringing back, because he is an impending trade.
Good call.
Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day.
Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that never were designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software tool that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of just managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working towards the same goal. That's true in sports, just like it is in business. Any adjustment made is important, but what really impresses me is just how smoothly it can be implemented. Everyone knows their role. Everyone is on the same page, and that's usually what separates good organizations from great ones. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every game. And whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league, every game has someone capable of going deep. And now you get a chance to make your prediction before a first pitch. Sometimes it's a hitter who's been on a hot streak, a favorable pitching matchup, or even a ballpark that tends to give up home runs. Those are always the first things I look at before making my Daily Dingers pick. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of MLB. It's going, it's going, it's gone.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. We're talking about the bullpen bullies. That's what Brett is naming the Josh Hader and Bryan Abreu. But they won't be the bullies if they are broken up. So I know that Bryan Abreu is in his final year of arbitration. Sorry, not arbitration, but I guess it was arbitration. But he made 5.7, 5.8, however you want to round it, this year. So that means that likely the market value by Spotrac is not quite out yet for him. But if you want to retain his services, it's probably going to cost you upwards of $6 to $6.57 million, if not $8 million per year AAV to retain him. So the question is, I know early in the season, if you would have asked, I think a lot of people had said Bryan Abreu probably could have hit the road, but I think with how he's performing right now, he's probably going to get a lot more money than that because of what he's been doing recently.
Well, if you just look back on the contract they gave Rafael Montero, who was actually just let go by the Yankees.
I didn't know he was on the Yankees.
Yeah, I didn't either. But he got paid $11 million a year for 3 years. I mean, if you're going to give Rafael Montero $11 million for a guy that performs well every other season, I'm honestly, Eric, I think his price is going to be closer to 16. I mean, yeah. I would double that 8 just because. I mean, look, there's only 4 pitchers that have touched his FWAR on, Fangraphs, and that's Griffin Jax, Emmanuel Clase, who's no longer a player, Edwin Diaz, and Devin Williams. But those guys in their own right at their peak have done the right things. I mean, I think the only guy on there who was, anyways, we won't even get into it. But yeah, that was weird to see Clase's name. But, him together with Josh Hader is a potent and powerful weapon. And if you're going to keep Josh Hader for the length of his contract, it makes sense. Right now everybody's focused on what are they going to do with Pena? What are they going to do with Alvarez? What are they going to do with Isaac Paredes? What are they going to do with Hunter Brown? Right. Well, what are you going to do with Bryan Abreu? Because I think he's a more powerful weapon when right behind him you got Josh Hader. 16 of 16 save opportunities. He owns a 1.0 ERA. And I have not seen a pitcher come back with a vengeance like he has after not starting the year. And everybody was worried. But, man, 6 outs and a great save against San Francisco. And good Lord, Oracle Park, I believe. Is that what it's called now?
I think so.
I think it's Oracle Park. I almost said Candlestick. That's how old I am.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the ballparks I would like to go see. I mean, just to see the water behind it, that would just be an awesome sight to see. Just go walking around and just go see that. But Josh Hader did miss 10 months of action because of the injury, the shoulder biceps issue. But he's allowed 3 earned runs all season. But he's just been doing great. Like you said, 16 for 16 in save opportunities. He's got 38 strikeouts in 27 innings and that 1 ERA. It's just amazing what he's doing. And this is, I know last year or the first season with the Astros, when there's that issue with Ryan Presley and who's the closer. I think that was 2 years ago. Who's the closer? He kind of struggled a little bit, but last year and this year, since he's come back from the injury, he's been a whole different animal. But the main thing I wanted to talk about with Hader is don't expect him, and I think he even addressed this I saw a couple of posts on X. He said, don't expect him to do a lot of these back-to-back outings right now. But he said, if I do it now, obviously I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it back-to-back, but at least pushes me to where come September, we need to do it again a few more times. I have that already under my belt. So basically, they're not going to do that a lot because a lot of people have said, last year was the first year he kind of went away from being that 1-inning pitcher, and he pitched a lot, multiple innings last year. But then that's what led to his first ever trip to the injured list.
Right. And, this isn't ever a unilateral decision. This is a decision that happens in the moment. And you basically go to your guy and you say, are you good? Like that was 10 pitches, 3 up, 3 down. You have a difference between having stressful innings and non-stressful innings. And that was not a high stress situation in the 9th inning. So then the Astros not only come back, but they scored 3 runs in the 10th. So there's not a whole lot of pressure going back into that 10th inning. I think it was smart. I think Joe Espada and whoever made that decision made a great call. And like he said, and like you said, they've emphasized this isn't something you're going to see every time. But to me, the Astros showed urgency. And what has been one of the complaints from us or from fans or people watching this team is at times people feel like they just don't really want it that much. Like, I know they do, but they don't ever make moves that make you go, yes, that's my team. And last night, I think everybody was like, that's my team.
He said also, I just want to make sure I was solid coming back from the injured list before trying multiple innings. I really don't have like a full timetable, but I felt once you get into August, the games are starting to add up. So I figured this is a good time for him to try it. So basically, this was, like you said, it wasn't just Joe Espada saying, you know what, kid, go get him. It was more of Josh Hader saying, hey, that thing we talked about the other day, let's go ahead and give it a shot. And I only threw 9 pitches or whatever it was the 9th inning. Let's go and go out there. I want to get the save. I know how important this game is. And so this was communication between both sides, making sure that the player is protected, the team is protected. And Joe Espada, this was a risk, but at the same time, that's how important this game was for the Houston Astros. So we can go ahead and talk about some other stuff. The Astros did make a move. Jake Myers is no longer on the team, at least on the Major League roster. So we'll talk about this and more on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
A big thank you to our friends at Amazon for this limited break. This back to school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon. We all know how crazy the back to school shopping season can be, and it starts with a few items on the list, and suddenly you're shopping for supplies, for clothes, lunch gear, tech, and about 10 other things you didn't see coming. It adds up fast. But when you buy clothes for back to school and your kid has that growth spurt 2 weeks in, then you're right back where you started. Sometimes it genuinely feels like they're growing faster than your budget can keep up. And when the teacher supply list arrives and somehow every item feels completely reasonable on its own, then you add everything together and realize just how much stuff one kid needs for one school year. So remember, with Amazon's low back to school prices, just spend less on your kids, because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school at Amazon and spend less on your kids.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. Go and check out Mike O'Connor, the Locked On Astros podcast. Go and check out Mike and Brett over at the Back to the Bullpen podcast. But go and make us your first listen wherever you listen to your podcast. So I know I talked about it in podcasts I did earlier before work, and now we're doing podcasts after work. So I'm just double timing it today. So we are going to go ahead and talk a little bit about something I touched on a little bit earlier today, is that the Astros are playing some kind of bad teams right now. They're playing, they're 61-59 after the win yesterday, but they're playing the next 11 games against teams below 500. 2 of them are within the Astros division. Of course, you got the Mariners and then the Athletics. You got the, I thought they played the, are they after San Francisco, they play the Mariners and the Angels and the Athletics? Is that the?
Yes, they do. Actually, 3. Yeah. So you have basically it's the AL West all at home, though. Seattle at home for 3, the Angels for 3, the Athletics for 3. Then you go on the road. Then you have the Mets and the Yankees back to back. They've done that before. So yeah, but yeah, you got 3 division opponents. The Angels are just, dude, they just fired like 3 or 4 coaches. The Athletics fired their GM. But I heard that the Athletics fired their GM not because he's a bad GM, but I think he was moving on. I think he was moving to something different, so they let him go. But they're in disarray. The Mariners, they're like 6 or 7 games under 500. They've played the Astros actually really well this year, but Eric, I mean, this is a time where you can put the pedal to the metal, and this is a time where you can pad your lead, because, you know, they're sitting here nursing this half-game lead over the Rangers. And look, they just lost Nathan Eovaldi to the 15-day IL. So that is one weapon of theirs that they can use. The Rangers are not a good offensive team, but they're only a half game behind the Astros. And so I think it's imperative that before you face the Mets, who are not good this year, and the Yankees, but both New York teams, and they can both be competitive any day of the week. Brett Beatty, a Texas kid, hit a grand slam in yesterday's game to kind of get things started and totally ruined my parlay, but on a Kalshi, but that's okay. The gauntlet, though, starts in New York. Before that, you've got a little bit of soft landing to come home, but we've seen the Astros do it. They come home, they stink it up. They've got to be on their A game, and they've got to win. They've got to have a winning home series after hopefully having a series win in San Francisco.
Well, I know we focus on the fact that they're going to be playing a lot of teams with losing records, but the Astros actually have a good record against teams with winning records as well.
They do. So
that's something to be positive about, but the Astros just got to continue. So I guess, Brett, I want to ask is over the next 12 games, including last night's game, if they go 6-6, are you happy with that?
Absolutely not. No, I mean, if they go 6-6 over the next 12 games, that is not going to cut it. They need to win over the next 12 games. They need to win at minimum 8 of those games. 8-4 is the lowest number that I think that would be acceptable in this stretch. I mean, look, the Yankees do have a solid pitching staff. They do have George Lombard Jr., but they still don't have Aaron Judge back. They still don't have Mike Stanton. Their offense has had one of the lowest OPSs, and the Astros have been one of the hottest teams in baseball since the All-Star break. I mean, so They've have one of the best records in the American League. One of the teams that's going to give you fits is the very last game. The last day in August starts a 4-game series versus the White Sox, but they've actually taken care of the White Sox this year. But that's a team that you may face if you, let's say, here's the thing. Here's what's up for grabs, Eric. Second place. I'm not worried about first. Second place. Get that ALDS. Take the White Sox out of that second spot and move into that second spot and stay there. Cement yourself so you don't have to mess with your rotation, which is weak, and go to a wild card. A wild card, I think, is the Astros' worst enemy. I think an ALDS is perfect for where they are pitching-wise. What do you think?
Well, the White Sox right now, they have the same amount of wins as the Astros, 61 and 61, but the Astros have 3 more losses than the White Sox.
Exactly.
So they're not like this juggernaut. Who knows what's going to happen in those other 3 games. So there's potential for you to catch up to them. Yes, I've been talking about that for a few weeks. Now that you have overtaken the Rangers in the AL West, that's not the goal. It's trying to get that bye, because we saw what a game would be like against, I think 2 years ago when the Astros played the Tigers, and you thought, hey, the Astros got this. It's the Tigers, and they did not play good baseball. They got pitched, they got out hit, and you had the 2 guys that you thought should have been pitching good for the Astros. It didn't go well. So anything can happen in a wild card series versus a extended series. So that's why you want to have the bye. And I know a lot of people say, well, I'd rather have the wild card series and not lose the momentum. But no, anything can happen in those stupid wild card series.
No, there's no momentum that can be lost, only gained. And the only way you're going to gain momentum is if you get, because that's a problem. And I would contend with those people who want the Astros to just make the wild card. Here's a problem. Again, you have 2 guys. And see, look, Eric, this is funny. The show before yours, because I watched your show today. I actually listened to it. And you were talking about Javier and how you don't trust Javier. The day before, I did a show and I said, if Christian Javier can be the Christian Javier that came in and relieved and threw 7 strikeouts in 5 innings, right? That would be a guy that you would go to automatically as he's your number 3 guy. But even in that, I'm like, and I was more high on him than not. And then I heard you today and I'm like, yeah, I think I went a little too deep into like Christian Javier is, I think, the guy for your number 3. And you convinced me because I started looking at the whole picture going, we don't know who he's going to be. So the Astros have a for sure number 1 and number 2. That's it. Now, Mike Burrows is making a rehab start in Triple-A. I'm not counting on him. Tatsuya Imai, he's been home runs. Tatsuya Imai, though, Eric has been a part of a combined no-hitter this year. He's been very Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I mean, is there a chance that he's a guy that comes in and has a surprise ALDS, when they get there? It's just that's the uncertainty, and that's what is frustrating about Dana Brown not going after a starting pitcher or not getting one, not getting Casey Mize, anybody out there. I still think the Astros could have got somebody.
The answer is yes. If he legitimately fixed the issue, Tatsuya Imai could be one of the best pitchers in the Astros rotation. If he legitimately has rediscovered his form and what it takes to be successful in the big leagues.
Correct.
Yes. So we don't know if he could be a factor in tonight's game. We don't know if there's going to be early exit. He might need to pitch in tonight's game, but likely what's going to happen.
Hunter Brown's actually pitching tonight.
I know.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Wednesday. I'm sorry. We're recording it.
No. I'm saying exactly right, Brett. I'm saying tonight's game, Hunter Brown's pitching. There could be a need for Tatsuya Imai tonight. But
I see what you're saying.
He's not needed. There's a chance that he could be starting tomorrow on Wednesday. So, but
my bad. Go ahead.
If that's not the case, if he's not starting, the thought is my thought is that they might have a opener to kind of get him back into that. Hey, I'm a reliever. I'm going to come in. I'm not a starter, and kind of get him into that. And then if that works for him, great. Have a starter. We've seen that work for the Rays. You have that bulk guy. And if Tatsuya Imai is going to be that bulk guy, and you have Stephen O'Kirk come in game and open it up, or whatever the matchup says, fine. If that works for Imai to not put all that pressure on himself to be the starter, fine.
Could Christian Javier be an opener? I think he comes in better as a reliever in the middle of the game. And what stinks about Imai and Javier both having that role is you only need one of those guys to have that role right now. You know what I'm saying?
I think Christian Javier would be on short rest, or I think they're going to wait.
But I'm just saying, though, down the road, do you think you would ever want the Astros to use him as I just don't. Look, Jeremy Branham said something on X that was brutal, but I think it kind of makes sense. He said, I'm not convinced that Christian Javier is a major league pitcher anymore. And I think what he's trying to say is his struggles and his velocity and who he is now is not the same. And Eric, we see more successful Tommy John returns to baseball than not, but we also forget that all Tommy John surgeries and post-surgery players' careers don't always go in the right direction after that. So I'm hoping that's not the case for Javier, but that's one of the best descriptions I've seen online.
The Astros have added their piece for the World Series. Nelson Velasquez has been added to the Major League roster. Jake Myers has been optioned down to Triple-A. I know I mentioned Jake Myers. I forgot that he still had an option. I mentioned that he could be possibly DFA'd, but he was optioned down to Triple-A. So Velasquez will be wearing number 30. And I don't know if he's in the starting lineup yet or not, but this would definitely be a interesting story to follow, see how much playing time he gets. Don't take Taylor Trammell out of this lineup. I think that he's doing too much. Don't take Cam Smith out of this lineup. The rest of it, the playing time, I don't really care about, but keep those two guys in the lineup.
Yeah, they do not have the lineup listed yet because they have both Velasquez and late night Lamont Wade Jr. listed both in left field. But hey, Mike Burrows makes a rehab start August 14th in Triple-A Sugarland. You have some other guys continuing to do work. Carlos Correa trying to take dry swings. He'll do T-work soon. Brennan Walter underwent Tommy John. He won't return till 2027. And then Bryce Matthews, his left knee sprain, his expected return is the third week in August. So we'll just have to see what happens then. But hey, go watch the game, and hopefully the Astros can get a win tonight, and it'll be a series win.
And someday, Brett, you need to give some respect to Hayden Wesneski. He's looking pretty good out there. So, guys, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Yes, I'm going to leave it hanging like that. So thank you for making us your first listen. Go and subscribe to us. Go and make his first listen wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. And Brett, where can you what do we always say?
Go Stros. Hayden Wesneski, don't listen to this guy. I love you, man. Hey, Hayden was nasty is what we call him here in Houston. Man.